Hi, this is Clay Pike, and we're going to show you a quick tutorial on real estate photography retouching using a method called HDR. These days they're selling programs out there, HDR Effects Pro, which I have, but what it does is it takes a few images and merges them together in the computer, and it gives you more of a fakey look, whereas this HDR is taking one photograph and adjusting the exposures and then kind of blending them together with a little more natural effect. Anyway, this is the photograph out of the camera, and here's what it ends up looking like with a little bit of perspective correction and some merging. Over here you can see these are all the layer masks that we used. This image here we can just drag in the into the recycle bin because it really didn't come into play much with it. But so before, after, you can see the perspective has been corrected here. So we'll start from the beginning, and what we did here is we went into Lightroom, and this is the image, the original image. And you know, here when you work in Lightroom, you take it's a Photoshop Lightroom, you take an image and you can duplicate it as many times and it won't affect the original image. And so what I did was I took, this is the exposure knob here, and it's a raw image so it doesn't hurt any of the data. The data's it's all there. So what I did was I increased the exposure, basically one full stop here, and then I opened up the original, and then I opened up edit in Photoshop, edit original, edit a copy. So there's the copy. We'll just go through the process. Shoot, man, what'd I do? So let's open up another one. Let's see what we did. Edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, which is this would be the one with the exposure increased. So what I do is I take this one out here. Let's see what we got going on here. Well, it looks like we have the two. Well, hell. What I need to do is I need to turn that one on, so don't confuse myself. Start over. Go back into Lightroom. Open the original. Just to make a note here, on the original, with no double click that, it sets it back. With no out of the camera, you can see the detail is in the clouds, which is really what gives this finished product the effect. So when we take up the exposure to lighten for the sign and the wall, you lose all the detail in the clouds. So what we're doing is we're taking the original and this one and merging them together so you have details in the clouds and shows off the architecture. So we're going to open it in Photoshop with adjustments, and we're going to open the original. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because God knows it's boring, but just to give you some idea how it's done. So we have the two images. Take this one out here, okay, and then if I want to drag this one on top, I just hold down the shift key and use the move tool, and it places it on top, real nicely centered here. You can see, there we go. And then so what we do is add a layer mask, which is you hold down the Alt key and hit this layer mask there. It gives you the black. Then you come over here and you grab a brush and you paint with white on this layer mask. You make sure that the layer mask is selected, and then when you paint with white, it will bring through the highly exposed colors. But what we need to do here is we need to duplicate. Control J duplicates a layer. Come on top here. Bring the brighter one on the bottom. So let's see what happens here. So now if I want to bring in some of the brightness, paint with white. Let me increase the brush size here. And so let me get my flow up. I'm not gonna go through all this. Well, turn that off. Let's increase the brush a little more. You can see I'm pressing the keys here. Gives you the size of the brush. This is your flow, but for whatever reason, it's not showing. This thing right here should have a circle around it, showing the size of the brush. It's not doing it. But anyway, you can see how we can come in here and lighten things up and make things pop. And anyway, so that's how you do that. Last thing I want to show you is this perspective, because more than anything your eye's thrown off about how this is leaning in. And this is pretty easy to do in Photoshop. You just go up to the edit menu, you go to the transform menu, and then to distort, and now you get these little handles here, and what you do is you pull the handle out. Well, okay, Control Z. We're going to start over again here. In order to do this the right way, grab this move tool again. Let's get rid of that layer there. So if we hit the shift key, select both of these, and let's reduce the size of this screen a little bit so we can see the image and see how far we're pulling it out. So now we're going to go to edit, free transform, and distort. Now we got these handles. Now both layers will adjust in tandem together. So you can see here, we pull this out here and you can see it's straight. Now this is leaning a little bit, so what we do there is lean it down. And what I did before was I wanted to make sure that when I pulled it, it didn't stretch this top out. So in order to get that to look a little more naturally, I had to bring that down a little bit. And on my original image you can see where I cropped it, but that looks pretty good. Once I use this to confirm my selection there, we'll just go ahead and do it. It straightens out, you know, all the jaggedy edges. Then I come in here and just crop this image, accept that crop, and there you go. And with a little bit of work, you know, we're not going to bore you to death, but you end up with an image like that. And this is a layer adjustment, just brightening up a little bit from there to there. Photoshop, it's a wonderful tool. It's not really hard to do. I'll be adding these as we go, and hopefully my presentation skills will come up a little bit, and you can learn how to do this yourself. Thanks for watching the movie. My name is Clay Pike. If you have any questions, please give me a call.